Hello, folks. I'm Jeff Gonzalez, host of the Bulletproof Workshop, powered by AR15.com. Welcome to podcast 003. On more than one occasion, I have used humor and positive attitude to get me through some pretty big messes. It became a ritual, not just for myself, but the rest of my teammates. In fact, I can remember several times bad shit happening and them looking to me to crack a joke to kind of make it light, and it became kind of like my sub-duties, if you will. My next guest brings probably one of the strongest positive attitudes I have seen, and he is kind of funny, to a whole new level. So I am pleased and honored to call him my friend. Please welcome to the show, Omar Crispy Avila, an Army veteran, Purple Heart recipient, and of course, a fellow Texan.
Yep.
Welcome, Omar.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
No, my pleasure. I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
Speaking of time, let's take a quick second to thank our sponsors.
Daniel Defense advocates for individuals' rights to bear arms, which is why they manufacture 100% American-made high-quality firearms backed with a lifetime warranty. To learn more, visit DanielDefense.com.
All right, so Omar, let's start from the beginning.
Let's do it.
Where were you raised? Where did you call home?
So I was originally born in Mexico.
No shit.
Yeah. So I was born in Mexico till I was about 9 years old.
Okay.
And then my father brought us to the U.S. And I always like to tell people he was a lazy Mexican because we literally crossed Matamoros into Brownsville. And then he's like, okay, that's good enough.
Well, that's as far as we're going.
Yeah, that's it. You know, whether there's other Mexicans that are like in Michigan or Vancouver and way up there, we were just like, okay, we crossed over, we're good.
That's as far as we're going. I love it. That's hilarious.
No, we ended up in Brownsville. My dad originally was raised in Chicago, and he saw all the violence and shit that was going up there, and like how crazy it was. And my dad was like, I'm not gonna raise my kids in that environment, so he chose Brownsville because we had cousins that lived there, and he was like, man, this is a great place. It's a small town. We still have the small town family values and all that stuff. So he decided to keep us there, and then that's kind of where I grew up. Went to high school, elementary, middle school, high school, everything.
What time period was that? Like the 80s?
That was
the 70s.
Shit, you wish.
I know it wasn't 60s.
That was you. No, we got there in 91, I believe. Yeah.
90s, yeah. So it was, that part of Texas was still really nice too. Like
it was.
Vacation down South Padre, getting down to that part of the town, but that part of the state was really nice. Obviously things have changed a little bit.
Man, it's grown so much. I literally every time, because I have a house down there.
No way.
Every time we go visit, I always tell my wife, I'm like, you see where my house is? She's like, yeah. I was like, we used to ride our bikes from the opposite side of town, because this is the outskirts of Brownsville.
Yeah.
I'm like, we used to ride our bicycles with all my friends, like 12 of us, 13 of us deep, all the way here. And it's like a good 15, 20 miles. And we were right back there because it was all dirt. And you can get, catch some air on some of them and stuff. And like, we went all the way out there, and I was like, I used to ride my bike as a kid out here. That's that's where my house is at. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I was like, I have pictures somewhere. I got to find them. But yeah, it's grown so much. And I couldn't have picked a better place, man. Like just being raised there, and like South Padre Island, we fished all the time.
Oh, see,
football was big.
Yeah,
like,
of course,
just everything. It's Texas. Like,
it's funny too because Brownsville is like between Brownsville and like as you come north, there's like nothing.
The valley.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's just Brownsville, and then there's the desolate region, and then you start to get into like San Antonio, the outskirts of San Antonio. And I tell people it's like I loved going down there. Like
we're so different.
Yeah, it's
like people
very
don't
much
understand. Like we're in Texas, but we're so different.
It's
like
so
from
different.
The rest of the state. It's little Mexico. It's literally what it is.
It's true.
You go down there, and people, like, I've noticed a lot of people get mad because they'll go into stores and people don't want to speak to them in English.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then they're like, well, this is Texas. Like, I don't know if you understand, but this is South Texas. Like, this is the valley. We have different rules. So if you don't like them, later.
Yeah.
Like,
so it also sounded like you did a lot of outdoor stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's so much different back then than now. Like, we didn't have social media.
Oh, no,
like,
dude.
the internet was
barely.
Yeah. Like, and where we grew up, it was such a poor community that even if the internet was a big thing, we weren't going to get it right then and there.
It's like HBO. We didn't get it in my
Pretty
household.
much, yeah, right. Unless you were like sticking something in the back of the TV to kind of get some of it. Yeah. So we, you know, that was the thing that kept us busy, right? It was either playing hockey in the street, basketball, playing football, soccer, riding our bikes. So like it was always something outside, and that's kind of what I would do. I bring my brother with me, and so my mom always knew I had my brother with me, so that kind of
gave you extra hours.
Yeah, pretty much, and alleviated some of like her having to watch this type deal thing in the summers. And so we spend a lot of time doing that, and it was just always outdoors, getting to learn more things, and it was just exploring and just kind of seeing what you're really about. You know what I mean? Because I feel like kids nowadays aren't challenged enough to find out who they are, who they're going to be, or how much can they push themselves, you know, little things like that.
So when you said we, I assumed also that you meant like a group of friends. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like I grew up just outside of San Antonio, and I had a group of friends who I'm still close with, just about all of them. In fact, I missed one of them's birthday. I'm sorry, Brian. I will try to text you. But and we rode, we rode bikes, we skateboarded, we were out, we did all sorts of things. And and you know, it was such a different time period. And I like to share that with people because, sure, you can probably look up some nostalgic movies and get a feel for it.
Yeah, of course.
But like, it was so different. And being outside, you know, I remember the times when my mom would say, come home when the lights come on.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had a group of friends that she knew that I was with, like your brother, when your mom knows you were with your brother, or I'm with my friends. Exactly. We had, you know, sometimes we kind of exploited that. Like sometimes I'm going over to Brian's house, but secretly we're going out all night long. But she thinks I'm going to Brian's.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah. Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So see, that's the thing. Like, how do you feel like that helped create the man you are, that time, like that period of your life? Did it have an impact? Did it help guide you in where you are now?
I think so. I think it prepared me for life, because there's one instance that I always remember, and I always tell my friends is we saw Mighty Ducks, right? Obviously, like, growing up, and everybody wanted to play hockey.
Of course.
But hockey sticks were expensive, like especially, you know, for our parents and whatnot. Like they weren't so much worried about buying us like hockey sticks or skates or all that stuff. We didn't have money for it. It was, we're going to pay for the house. We're going to get food, clothes on your back. That's it.
That's
like, you know, it's not that they didn't want to, they just couldn't.
I hear you.
And so what my friends and I did, we got together and we're like, well, Mark already has a hockey stick. Like, who doesn't have one? And then we were like, 4 of us didn't have one. So what we would do is we go all around the neighborhoods in our bikes. And we pick up cans. And then we have bags. Like, one of them was in charge of carrying the bags. The other ones that was to get off. We'll go up and down and ask like the people that had cans. And most of the time they give it to us. And we have bags filled of freaking cans, to where my dad would like take us to the recycling center.
No kidding.
And then we sell it, and we got like $10-15, and we put it in a box as a group, right? And then we do like a little drawing. Like, we throw up coins, see who's next. And then like, let's say I got picked. And once we raise $50, we go buy the stick for me. And then we do it again. And then we do it again. So it was teamwork, and it was accountability, and it was just like making sure that we all had what we needed, but we worked together to make it happen. Right.
I love that.
And we just did it without like, you know, sitting here now, like I'm like, we know we came up with this great plan. It wasn't even that. It was just like, this
is how it worked.
Let's do this. Let's and then we all ended up getting hockey sticks, and then we all like saved money, did the same thing. We bought the nets, and then we play.
I love it.
And then
man.
it was so like things like that, like I feel kind of shaped me up to like, you know, learning more about teamwork. And then, you know, especially when you get to high school and you're playing football at a next level, you know, like I got to high school and I started playing football varsity my freshman year. I played all 4 years.
Wow.
So coming into that, I already knew teamwork. I already knew like what my role was and things like that. So like it all started doing those things for me, and it just transferred over into real life and transferred over into like the first time I got a job. I'm like, if I don't do my part, this whole machine's going to break down.
Right.
And then the same thing when I got to the military. I'm like, I got to do my part, but now there's someone's life in my hands. So I got to make sure that I do everything that I can to complete my task to make sure that now we all come home alive. So yeah, all those things just kind of rolled on.
Yeah, that's beautiful. First of all, I love hearing that. Like kind of reminds me of like the old lemonade stands that we used to do, you know, just like things like that we grew up with. Like we did a punch stand. We didn't like lemonade, so we did like you remember like the not Kool-Aid, but who's that other juice punch guy that had like the Hawaiian theme to it?
Like
Hawaiian punch. It was Hawaiian punch.
Yeah.
Hawaiian punch. And we would just water the crap out of that thing, and just like because we could only afford to buy like 3 cans of it at one time. But it came in that big can, and we would just get 3, put them in a big cooler, and just sell it right there on the street.
That's cool.
Yeah, we did stuff like that as a kid. All we did with that was we would do that to buy tickets to movies.
Oh,
we'd
cool.
go and check out movies, and then of course we'd get into the movie theater, and then we'd just stay there all day. We'd just hop.
Oh, you hop over to another. Yeah.
So again, sorry anybody that's listening, my bad. But we were kids, and that was the things that we did together. And like you, we rode everywhere. Everywhere we went, we rode our bikes, and it was a good experience because if you wanted it, you had to earn it.
Yeah.
You couldn't just have mom and dad drop you off.
No, no.
You had to ride the bike.
No, they were at work.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a time period that's very unique. I try to share that with my kids. Of course, they have a different life now. I try to remind them, hey, there's a time when the internet didn't exist.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like, video games?
There's a time where a 12-year-old didn't have a phone in their freaking hands all the time.
Or
toddlers or babies.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's so bad. So like, and to your point, like and that really resonated with me. I can really connect with that because when in the Navy, one of my prime directives was I never wanted to be the weak link. I always wanted, like, you never wanted to be the reason for mission failure. You always put that extra, and if everybody was doing it, if everybody was putting that extra effort in, then you had like this amazing result from it. And and I learned that from my older teammates that taught it down to me. Like, don't be that guy. Don't let the failure be because of you. If it's out of our control, it's out of our control. But don't be the guy. All right. So that's fantastic. And I can easily see how that primed you for football, because obviously one of the most team-centric sports that we know. And what was that decision, or when did you make the decision that you wanted to join the military? And why the Army?
So I was a sophomore in high school, and 2 weeks before 9/11 happened, after being in the country for that long, since the 3rd grade, my dad got all the ducks in a row, filed everything, and then we had our ceremony to become U.S. citizens.
No kidding.
So 2 weeks before it happened, my siblings and I and my mother became U.S. citizens. And I remember, I felt this sense of pride. I was like, hell yeah, like I'm an American. Like, this is my, and I felt like that growing up, without having that paper tell me that, like, because
the community.
That, and I don't really think people realize like how and why we love Texas so much. It's just a sense of pride. Everywhere I go, like, I just scream Texas, because I'm like I love my state, and I don't think any other state has as much pride as we do, and how we take it. So just having that piece of paper tell me that I'm an American, I was like, cool. I've been a Texan, like,
I hear you, man.
Yeah, but it was nice to have it. I felt like I was part of the community. I felt like I was like now accepted and all those things. And then 9/11 came around.
Wow, 2 weeks before.
2 weeks before. And I remember being in that classroom, and it happens, and the teacher turned the TV on, and I was in history class, and he goes, guys, you need to pay attention to this. And, we turn it on. And
so how old were you? About
I was
15, 16?
16.
16?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I remember watching like the second tower get hit, and just myself and almost everybody in that class was just crying, like, shit, like, what's next? I'm in Brownsville. The port of Brownsville is there, one of the biggest ports in the world that, everybody comes in from there. Are we next? Are we being attacked? Like,
I hear you, man.
So it was all those things. We were afraid. We didn't know where our parents were, things like that. Like, it wasn't like, I'm going to send a text, see my dad's okay. We had none of that.
Yeah.
And then you imagine something like that happened, the phone at school wouldn't stop ringing.
I can't.
And there's thousands of kids there. Like,
what do you do?
Exactly. So I remember crying there, and I was like, shit, like, what's next? Like, damn. And I remember being a sophomore and the football team, you know, we had senior guys that were getting ready to graduate, and I always heard them talk like, I'm gonna go join, I'm gonna go fight. Like
Before
once 9/11 happened.
Oh, once 9/11 happened.
Like the seniors, the upperclassmen.
Yeah, gotcha now.
I'm gonna sign up.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like these guys are doing it. And I remember like telling myself, like, you're an American, like you gotta go fight, because I have 2 younger siblings that I want to make sure that, you know, have a full potential, become whatever they want to become in this country. Like we were giving this privilege.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people always tell me like, well, you sign a blank check to this country. Before that, I felt like this country did that to me. Like I said, here it is, go do whatever you want to be, become whatever you want to become. Like
right
here's
on.
this option. And I felt like I needed to repay that for not only me, but for my brother, sister, and mother. And I was like, I'm going to go fight so that shit doesn't ever come back here, or keep them safe, you know, because I'm the oldest of 3. So I made up my mind right then and there. As a sophomore, I wanted to do it. But, you know, you can't really sign up and leave as a sophomore.
Yeah.
And you have to have a high school diploma back then. So I said, all right, cool. I'm going to put this in the back of my head, and this is going to come back up again. And I'm going to join. And from my sophomore year to my senior year, I went from being an average football player to just excelling, to having actual.
Now you had purpose.
Yeah, I had universities showing up, and like they're like, we want to recruit you. We wanted you to come here. And while all that was great and entertaining, and I loved it, I remember just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, well, I did make a promise to myself that I wanted to join. And I explored all the options that I had, what universities to go to. And even with a full ride scholarship, I was still going to have to come out of pocket with a lot of money. And
yeah, college isn't cheap.
No. And, you know, my parents were like, yo, we'll both get 2 jobs, and, you know, we'll help you, and you got to go. This is a great opportunity. And I couldn't do that to my siblings, because I knew how hard my parents worked. And they were going to work twice as hard as that. Who was going to be around for my brother and my sister?
Yeah. Just
so that I can go play football at a school.
Yeah.
And maybe potentially go pro, which I was like, I'm not that good.
Yeah.
So just did an evaluation on myself, and I was like, fuck this. I actually walked into the Marines recruiting office.
That was it.
Yeah. And I already had buddies who had been in the service.
I love it.
Who you know, had 2 years in them, and a bunch of them had either got an infantry, ranger, and I had like 2 or 3 that were Green Berets. And like, that was my path. I wanted to go. I was like, if I'm going to go, and this is no offense to anybody else's job. Like,
of course.
I was like, if I'm going to join the service, I want a fucking job where I'm going to go fight.
Yeah.
Like, my hat's off to all the cooks, the mechanics, all those guys, because we wouldn't work without them.
Absolutely.
Right? But I was like, if I'm going to join, I want to fight. I don't want to do this other job. I just want to get down to the nitty and gritty, and let's go.
Okay.
So I had conversations with all these guys that were in battalions, that were in groups and stuff, and I was like, hey, I want to do all these things. So they had already given me the information, but for some reason, the Marine Corps was calling me. Like, I was like, I want to be, and I think it was the dress blues. I was like, I'm
so many people.
Yeah.
So many people say the same thing.
I was like,
sharpest.
They are.
Hands fucking
down.
Hands fucking down.
I was like, I'm going to look so fucking good.
Dapper.
And I walk in, and I asked the recruiter, I said, hey man, like, look, I want to be infantry, and then I want to do y'all special operations stuff, and then, you know, whatever, like, what do I need to do to that? And he's like, you should just be proud to be called a Marine. And I looked at him, and I was like, I'm out. And we walked right next door
to the Army.
And the recruiter there, Nash, he used to come over to the high school and play basketball with us. Like, not even trying to recruit us.
Smart play.
He'd just come by, play basketball, hang out with us, like, you know, bullshit with us. Like, he was never pushy, nothing. He was just like, if you guys are ever interested, let me know. Yeah.
Cool.
And so I walked in, and Nash is like, what the fuck are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be like touring?
Football?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but this is what I want to do. And I sat down with him, and he's like, I would tell you to go to college. He's like, but I see where you're coming from. How can I help you? And I was like, look, I want to go infantry, and then after this, I want to check these options out. And so he gave me an 18 X-ray contract fest, whatever it was, like whatever at the time it was. So I had to go to infantry school, and then after my second, or once I re-enlisted, then I had the option to go
activated the option. To
pretty
go
much,
there.
So that's pretty much what made me join the Army. It was that. The
Marine Corps was like,
oh, you should just be proud to be called. And I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, I want to go fight. I don't want to join the Marine Corps. And then I find out that I'm in the band or some bullshit.
It's always, whether it's the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, it's always the needs of the Army, needs of the Marine Corps, needs of the Navy, always going to take precedent.
Yeah, but at least in the Army, you can pick your job.
Yes, exactly.
And then like, yes. And then you have options, right? Like you can either you can go to airborne unit and be airborne or air assault, or after that, like you can put in your contract and be like, I want to go to a Ranger Battalion. Give me a chance to go to RASP and all these things. And they give you the option.
Yeah.
Within the Marine Corps, they don't.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And I guess because the funding and how much smaller they are than we are and all those things. And so I was kind of glad and happy that guy was being douchey to me that day. And I literally walked in next door. And within hours, I walked out with our contract.
That's hilarious.
Dude, that was June 10th and June 26th. I was on a bus coming to San Antonio to do my MEPS and all that.
Yeah, I did MEPS
and then flew out. Like the first time I ran on a plane was from here to Fort Benning, Georgia.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh shit. And the second time I was in a plane, I was doing this.
See ya.
Yeah, like, oh shit, I hope this opens.
Holy shit.
So it was just
that is
that
fucking
fast.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I my experience, my enlistment was kind of funny. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something. I did go and I was a swimmer and played water polo in high school. So I did go to schools with my family, but I had a similar kind of, that's so funny to hear you say, I had a similar feeling. Like I had a younger sister. My parents were, we were middle class. And so, like I thought the same thing. I'm like, you know what? My sister's got a much better chance of doing well. And she's a fucking doctor now.
Nice.
So I don't regret that decision.
Yeah, for sure.
She went to college, that my parents paid for everything for her. And she put herself,
That's awesome.
She's got her doctorate now. So that was the right choice for me. But the funny part to it was, my parents didn't know that I'd gone to the recruiter. And back then I was, again, under 18.
Yeah.
So I went to the recruiter, started talking to him when I was 17 and got, basically I took the delayed entry program.
Yep.
And so I did like maybe a month and a half on the delayed entry program, just enough to get me to the 18.
Gotcha.
Because I'm a summer month. I'm a summer birthday.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So once I graduated high school, I was still too young. And so one day at the dinner table, I was talking to my parents. We all sat down. We used to have family dinners, and I mentioned, by the way, I enlisted in the Navy, and I'm going to be leaving in 2 weeks for boot camp. And my mom, I put that poor lady through hell. So my mom, if you're listening, I love you.
Did you see a chancla fly at you?
People don't know what that is, unfortunately, outside the state of Texas. Did you ever see the one that's made of wrought iron? Did you see that one?
Dude, I've seen those. Holy crap. I'm like, I don't know what's with Mexican moms, but they that sound is like a boomerang, bro. They throw that, comes back in their hand. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. So no, luckily, and I was kind of like closest to the back door as well. So I wasn't, I'm like,
you're ready to run out.
I'm ready. She sat on the other side of the table with me. So, oh God, I'm fucking crying almost. It's so funny. But yeah, so I had a very similar kind of experience that I wanted my sister to go to college.
Yeah.
And it was the right choice because she nailed it. She's
That's
a teacher
awesome.
now. She's,
oh, cool.
I'm so proud of her.
That's awesome.
She's awesome. Yeah. So, okay. So you ditch the Marine Corps. You decide that you're going Army. They give you what you want, which is infantry.
Yep.
So how was that transition, other than being thrown into an aircraft for the first time and then the second time being thrown out, which, by the way, is pretty fucking cool. That's a good bragging rights.
No
the
kidding,
first time
right?
I was in a plane, the second time I got thrown out of a plane.
Yep.
That's pretty fucking cool. Not going to lie.
Yeah. It was interesting, right? Obviously, there was a lot of similarities already from Texas coming into the service, like, shooting and things like that.
Yeah.
I was already kind of familiar with that. The team bonding that they try to do, because a lot of the guys that got there, they didn't really have that.
Interesting.
And so they, you come in, they try to break you, and then they rebuild you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they're like, this is your team.
It's
like,
your family.
Make this work. And if this test doesn't get completed, it's not because of you, it's because of your team. So right off of the bat, like I already had that mindset, like this is a team. This is a team. So I was quickly appointed as the platoon sergeant, I guess.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. So I was like, holy shit. And then I had a chip on my shoulder because I was like, I got to make sure that everything gets done the proper way. And I got to excel at this. And
why do you call that a chip on your shoulder, though?
I don't know, because I feel like I had to perform, and if I didn't, I was gonna like let everybody down.
Okay, all right.
Like I don't know, because
I mean, I totally get that. I just like that to me is that's the position.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's natural.
I just didn't want to fail anybody.
No.
Like I just wanted to make sure we were all good and whatnot. So I don't know. I felt like there was
you had a purpose. You had now even more purpose.
more, yeah. And so it was learning all the tactics, the basic tactics in infantry school, and then like learning like hand-to-hand combat and little jiu-jitsu and all those things. It was like I was soaking it all in. I was just like, come on.
More.
Like after 8 hours of jiu-jitsu, I'm like, come on, 10 more. Like, I want to put that dude in a choke. And so it was kind of like, it was almost like a little crackhead, man. I wanted to learn more and more and more.
Dude.
And, I found myself like reading, with the little chances that we would get, we had books that you can read there, and they're all military books.
Yeah.
So, I started doing more like diving into like Ranger books and Green Beret books and like, infantry and tactics and all these things. And it just slowly just consumed me. And I was just like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is me, and I want to perform at a higher level. So it was very interesting. It was great. Like all the tactics, everything, which I can't remember what the shit now, but
Oh, dude, of course not. They've changed
so much.
so whatever those were, they're
gone.
They're gone.
But it was a great experience for me because, my whole life in Texas was always like Hispanic. That was, we had one or two white dudes in our school, and then maybe one black kid, and that was it. And then I got there, and I was meeting people from like Muncie, Indiana,
Dude, everywhere.
from like bumfuck fucking New England. I'm like, wait, where's that at?
I would sometimes have to pull a map out to see where guys were from, dude. And that was like another beautiful part to being in the military.
Yeah,
was I got to experience the rest of the country, because like you, I only knew Texas.
Yep.
We traveled outside, but it was only for like vacations.
Yep.
I didn't get to know the customs or the dialects, the accents.
Everybody.
Holy shit.
I remember sitting there, and I was like, one guy from Wisconsin, another guy. I'm like, dude, y'all talk funny. And they're like, what's y'all? Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean, what's y'all? Y'all. Yeah. And they're like, that's not a word. I was like, the hell it ain't. Yes, it is.
Tell that to 100 generations of Texas, motherfucker.
Shit like that.
That cracked me up too. Like, I'd be like, what'd you say? I don't like some I laugh because Brian Brackett, if you're listening again, I love you. He was the ops chief, but he had the thickest New England accent.
Oh, no shit.
Dude, I could not understand him to save my life.
Yeah.
Like, if he needed to pass direction to me, we were going to die. Because I didn't fucking understand a word he said.
We had a guy from Boston that
that's where he was from.
I used to fucking love. Like, hey, come here, let me talk to you. And he's like, what? I was like, hey, what are we doing? He's like, yeah, the car and the bar. I'm like, the bar. And I was just like, holy shit, that's hilarious. And he's laughing at me because he's like, you got like a Texan, Mexican, like, what is that? And I'm like, no, you're funny.
Yeah. So, dude, I fucking love that. That was like one of my fondest memories was learning and not everybody's gonna share their experiences about where they come from, but through that bonding experience, you learn about these guys. You learn about where they come from, what their family was like, what they did when they were kids, and
we even had a Puerto Rican kid, and his English was fuck. I was like, tell it to me in Spanish, and then he would, and then like everybody's looking at me. What do you say? I was like, I didn't understand them. Like he talks super fast, and then I was like, and then everybody's like, "Are you sure you speak Spanish?" I'm like, "Yeah, but not that fast." Like, and then I was like, "Okay," like, slow down. And he's like, "Okay," and then he's like, "Da da 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 da," and then he's like, "Yeah, papi." I'm like, "Yo, don't call me that." And he's like, "What do you mean, papi?" I was like, "Bro, don't call me papi, or I'm gonna beat your ass right now." Like, you don't know. And he's like, no, Papi. And I'm like, it took me a while to understand that, like, Papi is like bro to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, I was about to beat this dude's ass for no reason. I was like,
But
don't call me Papi, motherfucker.
That's what I'm saying.
But so I learned, I was like, oh shit. Like, okay. I was like, so then after that, I was like, dude, my bad. Like, I didn't know. And he's
Oh
like,
my God.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But every time he called me, I still feel weird. I was like, like,
yes, there's
like,
a little
yeah.
I
But
totally get it, man. There's so many experiences like that. But, you know, I always like people always say, well, you know, you've traveled the world, you've seen, and I'm like, yeah, I have. But you know what? Like, where would you go if you could pick any place to travel to see and visit? I'm like, dude, there are so many fucking places in my own country I haven't seen that I got way too many bucket list items here before I even think about going outside the country. I mean, things that I didn't even know until I started talking to people. I mean, you know, you study U.S. history and you learn geography and you know these things per se, but still, like, you didn't live there. You didn't experience it. So there's still so much to be learned. So that's awesome. People that can't see, I'm literally trying to wipe tears out of my eyes from laughing just now.
But that was a great thing about it, right? Because some of those guys are still my friends still today.
I love that.
And we talk and like we build such a bond that like we used to rag on each other and our heritage and stuff.
Yeah.
And it never felt like it was like you were calling me, you know, like a wetbag in a derogatory manner. It was like he was making fun of me and I was making fun of him. And then we shake hands, we go get a beer, you know, hang out, and then we go back to work. And it wasn't like I wasn't offended, neither was he, but it was such a bond. Like
different.
I knew that if I call that dude at any given time, he'd do anything for me. So like that was the great thing. I had never really experienced that if I needed something, that person was going to be there no matter what.
It's hard to explain to people that haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, you know, like my family, there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. No question about it. And, you know, but like when a teammate or a brother call, like, dude, it's
different.
Like, it's so different. And it's hard to explain to people. Like I can remember so many times, like you know, because we are all misfits to some degree.
Yep.
And, you know, guys that would be in trouble for one thing or another. Yep. And, you know, like there's some sketchy shit that I had to go and help with, you know, but, you know, like looking back, I'm like, ooh, shit, that was a little,
you
know, but at the time, didn't even bat an eye.
Nope.
Didn't even bat an eye. So, all right. So you're killing it as a sergeant and developing your bond with your men and your team and everything. And so what happens next?
Man, graduate basic training, go to airborne school, but in between airborne school, since it was just a lot of people were joining at that time, just because, you know, a lot of us same situation. In between airborne school, there was like a 2-week waiting period, and for them just to have us wait, not doing anything, they started sending guys to different schools like that were like a week long.
Cool.
So I ended up doing javelin school. So I learned how to use a javelin, and which I was like, wait, what? This is a $250,000 missile? And they're like, yeah.
Let's fire 500 of them.
And I get to shoot one. They're like, yeah. And I was like, let's go. I was like, I've never seen that much. I've never earned that much, but I'm going to shoot it. Come on. So did javelin school. And
That's
then
pretty fucking cool.
Once that was done, we had like a 4 days waiting period till airborne school started. So then we went to airborne school. But right before airborne school, they wanted us to watch a graduation class. And they had this graduation class going on. And man, it was about 300 of us waiting to go to airborne school. And, you know, we're watching the birds go by or the planes go by, and you see everybody jumping out. And then, dude, out of nowhere, you just see somebody.
No.
There was a female lieutenant that came to airborne school, and her main chute didn't open. She panicked, didn't open her reserve, and then just burned in and like dead.
Did she die?
Yeah, dead.
Oh, fuck, dude.
Dude, the next day, 150 people showed up.
No. 50% did not come back.
Nope. And a lot of them were in her shoes. They're already at a unit, and they came to get airborne, the qual, and then, you know, go back to the unit. And a lot of the guys, I mean, guys and girls, everybody was just like, And so I remember we show up, and I'm like, where's the rest of the class.
Yeah.
You know, like
did they talk about that? Like, did they
did.
explain?
They did. So once they explained it to us when we were there, and they're like, "Listen, before we start, we're gonna run you through the scenario, what happened.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, it's fresh. We don't know all the details just yet, but this is what happens. If your main chute doesn't open, you have a reserve for it for just that specific time." And so they kind of started running through us, like, how do you open your reserve?
Yeah.
You cut your main if it's bundled up, all that, all that jazz. So sitting there, and I was like, okay, so it was her error. It was, personal error. It wasn't, it was a little bit of equipment error, but it was also a lot to do with her. And so I think at that point, you're getting out of infantry school. You feel like you're invincible. You're like on top of the world. You're walking around with your blue cord on, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this shit.
Yeah.
So it didn't really faze me. I was like,
okay,
fuck, that sucks, but let's get through it.
Yeah,
and, got through that. And then we got orders to, everybody got orders after that, like where we were going. So I ended up getting orders to Europe. So I was like, hell yeah. I was like, I'm probably going to end up at 173rd in Vicenza, Italy. I was like, Spanish, Italian, it's kind of hand in hand. I'll learn, and then we land in Frankfurt, Germany. And I was like, hell yeah. So then, they have buses that pull up. They're like, this is going to Vicenza. This is going here, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
And so I get there and I give my package to the guy in the front. I was like, yeah, I'm airborne, where I'm going. And then I was like, where's the bus to Vicenza? And he's like, oh, it's over there. And he goes, well, wait, hold on. And I was like, what? And he goes, you're going to Germany. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, you're staying here. And I'm like, where? He goes, Schweinfurt. And I'm like, is there an airborne unit there? And he goes, and I didn't know. He goes, yeah, they got Bradleys. And I'm like, oh shit, should be a badass plane. And I was like, cool. This motherfucker. Little did I know, I thought I was going to be an airborne infantry guy. I ended up being a mechanized infantry guy. And I get to the unit and shit, and I'm like, and I get there and I'm like, and we're rolling in and we're going through the, what's it called? Through the, where all the fucking Bradleys were at. And
motor pool?
The motor pool.
Yeah.
And we're passing the motor pool and the bus, and I'm like, those are a lot of tanks. And I'm like, is there a tank unit here? And the guys were like, yeah, those are Bradleys. And I was like, what? I was like, can you jump out of Bradleys? They're like, sure. And then, we get there and I asked the guys, like, so is this an airborne unit? And they're like, this is a mechanized infantry unit. And I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, did you see those Bradleys coming in? I was like, yeah. They're like, that's mechanized? You're infantry. And I was like, in my dreams, slowly, like, just fucking went. And I was like, motherfucker. I was like, I wanted to go back to Frankfurt and beat that dude's ass. And I was like, you motherfucker. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, ended up in the
do the Bradleys fly?
Yeah, no shit. Where are the wings? And then I made the mistake of telling that story to somebody, and I was working on my Bradley one day because I was the gunner. I was just too fucking tall, like 6'2", and just I couldn't. So typically on a Bradley, you start off as a driver, and then from a driver you become the assistant gunner, and then the main gunner is in there. So I literally jumped from not being a driver to a gunner because I was too tall, and like I sit there and I'm like, I can't turn, and so they're like, yeah, you're fucking 6'2", you're coming over here. And I remember telling that story to the gunner that was in charge of the rally that day, like that story, and he goes, and so we're getting out of the rally, and I'm on the highest of rally, which is like 8 feet or something. Yeah. And he goes, hey, go get your parachute. You can jump from here. And I was like, I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, fuck you. And then on my hatch, when I used to close my hat, he drew wings on my hatch. Oh, you're fucking like a little parachute. And I was like, you motherfucker.
That is fucking awesome.
Oh yeah. So I was like, I'm never telling anybody anything ever again.
That's the thing. Sometimes you gotta, sometimes you
gotta hold something in.
Chest. Oh my God.
But it ended up working out, man. It was great. Like I said, I'm from Brownsville. My squad leader was from McAllen.
Oh, dude, that's like right up
and my team leader was from Weslaco.
Oh shit!
So we were like, they call us the Valley Boys because it was like it was like crazy. Like, and he was telling me, he's like, I went to this school. I was like, dude, we played you guys in football. Yeah. He goes, oh yeah,
we killed you.
Yeah.
Of course.
But it was crazy because like all the way across the world in another country in the military, I found myself that my chain of command is from the Valley.
Yeah.
From back at home. So
Dude, crazy.
Yeah. It made it feel all too well. And like when I had, when I was struggling with like, being away from home and all those things, like I called them and I was like, hey, like, I'm really missing home right now. He's like, come to the house. And I go over to their house and we cook up some Mexican food or make a little cookout and like listen to music and stuff. And it just like all brought me back. And I was like, okay, like I'm better. Like, let me shake this off. Let me get back to work.
Protecting loved ones and neighbors is a high calling. Over the last few years, men and women of all walks of life have chosen to exercise their Second Amendment right as first-time gun owners. Through education and training, families and communities are empowered to protect themselves and those around them. Daniel Defense advocates for individuals' rights to bear arms, which is why they manufacture 100% American-made, high-quality firearms backed with a lifetime warranty. To learn more, visit DanielDefense.com.
Dude, I can remember I'm probably like 3 deployments into my career, and I come back from a deployment, and I'm walking through our main hallway that leads back to all the platoon huts and whatnot. And there's a guy on the far end of the hallway walking towards me. And I look at him, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me. And we're doing that kind of head hands, kind of like, I know you. And then we're like standing right next to each other. We're looking at each other like, dude, I know you from somewhere. So turns out we swam against each other in high school.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he went to my rival high school. And
wow.
and like it was even more. Every event, we were pitted against each other for every event. Like his specialty was my specialty.
No kidding.
And so we swam against each other just about for like 2 years. Like when we both kind of like got high enough where we were competing head to head against each other. That was like for 2 years. And it was always this one thing, this real gruff, like, we'd walk out on the start, like walk up to the starting block. You're like, totally stoked. Like, fuck you, man. I'm going to kick your ass this time. But you kind of look over at him, right?
Yeah.
So like for 2 years, that was our relationship.
Oh, wow.
And then we're in the same team together.
No shit.
Yeah, it was so
So did he get there after you already been in?
He went to college.
Okay.
But he was an enlisted guy. But he had gone and graduated high school, went to college. So during those 4 years of college, I was in the Navy already. Yeah. That's how come I had 3 deployments under my belt, and he just got there. So, he'd been there, I think, for a little bit. So yeah, it was so fucking funny, man. Like how that kind of like, and we hung out together, and like there was another guy from my high school that.
No way.
Yeah, and when I saw him, I was like, Luke. like I ran up to him like he was my long lost brother because it was a connection to home.
Yeah, for sure.
And like we talked about things, like I used to I ride our bikes all the way to his house.
Yep.
Because he had a hot sister, so
awesome.
Of course. Sorry, Luke. But those types of things, people don't appreciate how important they are.
Oh, dude. Especially when you get homesick, it's crazy. It
dude,
sucks. Yeah.
It's not describing homesickness is like weird because it's different for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Some people miss their family, some people miss the food, some people just miss
a little bit of everything.
Area,
Yeah.
And so for me, like when I found somebody that like, and I put up walls of sorts, like to kind of help protect
everybody
it.
does, yeah.
Exactly. But as soon as I knew somebody, we were just like,
Oh,
let's have fun. So it was so funny.
Dude, it was cool because my platoon was like, it was split in half. Like it was Texas or California.
No way.
And then there was like a few like Indiana.
Yeah.
Ohio,
all the rest.
Like, the other guys that don't matter.
Yeah, they don't matter.
But when I got there, it was the Rose Bowl, and it was
That's
USC against Texas.
Oh
and
my God, that's fucking awesome.
We're in fucking Germany, and it's like 3 a.m. We got to go to work the next day, and the game started at 3. So literally, you put a TV in the hallway, and you see like the chairs split, like California and Texas guys.
That's right.
And by the time the game was over, it was like 6 a.m, and we got to go to PT. And then little by little, all the NCOs are trickling in and whatnot. And like my guys were like Texas guys, and then like the platoon sergeant was from California, so he's in there on the Californian side, and we're like, fuck. And then like the game's going into overtime.
Oh my God.
And so we're there, and then we look at the platoon sergeant. He's like, we got 5 more minutes. I'm like, cool. And then, dude, after Vince Young runs that ball in and we win, we're all like, just screaming. And
it's crazy, man.
The platoon sergeant goes, Texas boys, go take 6 laps. We're like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? And he's like, nah, come on, let's go. And dude, it was such a rivalry because we were talking shit to each other. But after the game was over, we were just like, hey, good game. And we went to work.
But the thing about the rivalries, there are rivalries. And like in your case, like within the platoon, the California-Texas rivalry, we're going to be better. No, we're going to be better. No. We're, and that kind of like there's obviously inter-service rivalry, Army versus Navy, right?
Yep.
One of the best rivalries out there.
Yep.
And not to put you guys down or anything, but still.
You won 1 year. Okay, relax. I feel like I text everybody and I was talking. Did I text you? I was talking shit. You
did. You did. Yeah.
I was going down my phone. I'm like, all right, who
else can I text?
Same message to everybody. Fuck you.
But it's like, that type of rivalry, what people don't understand is that brings out the best in us.
Oh yeah.
It really does. Yeah. And like, and it gets like it gets diluted all the way down to like a platoon level.
Yep.
Down to the very smallest compartmentalization within our own organizations. And it drives us to be so much better. Like, I mean, there's like people will sometimes look at that and they'll kind of like raise their eyebrows and, because you're talking shit or you're doing stuff or whatever. But like that is what that's doing. What people don't realize is that is forcing you to step up your game.
Yeah.
Because, we don't have like in peacetime, there's not an enemy that we can all concentrate in one focused area. So you have to have some other way of bringing out the best in you. Yeah. And that's why I love shit like that. That's just like, that's awesome. All right. So Texas wins. You guys go out and where are you at now?
Man,
other than in Germany.
Well, yeah. Shortly after that, we got orders to deploy.
Okay.
And so we started doing our workup and, went to the field, started doing a workup, came back, and then we came back and we thought we had like 2 months after the workup to kind of get ready for it. And they're like, hey, we're going to be a fast deploying unit. And I was like, what does that mean? They're like, well, you have 3 weeks. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So literally,
3 weeks. That's not a lot of time. It sounds like a lot of time. It's not though.
Then, we got back, had to go see the dentist, doctors, all that shit, get your shots, all that shit.
Oh,
like,
God.
I can't remember how many fucking shots I took. And I was like, is that good for you? They're like, shut up. I'm like, that one hurt.
Yeah.
And then we found ourselves, saying bye to our families and stuff, the guys that had wives and stuff over there. And then Kuwait, like everybody, and then got acclimated with the weather. We were there for about a week, I think.
Oof,
which, when we got there, everybody was like, oh, you're going to be fine. You're from Texas. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be great. And then I get off and I was like, holy shit.
Different kind of hot.
Like, I was like,
dude,
I can't breathe.
Desert hot is no joke.
No. I always tell people the best way that I can explain it is when your wife is blow drying her hair, grab that fucking thing and put it in your face. That's how Kuwait feels. And they're like, what? I'm like, exactly how it feels.
Dude.
And they're like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah. Like, it's hot.
It's like, it's very hot. Like, I think that it's impressive that a society can exist in that type of condition
with no air conditioning, bro.
I don't understand that.
No, dude. And I'm walking here like our AC went out the other day, and I was like, I fucking hate this. I was like,
I'm gonna die. Yep. Dude, I know exactly how you feel, man. Because
I almost went to Home Depot and bought some of those fucking AC ones.
Yeah.
To put them in the room while they fixed it.
Yeah.
And my wife's
I'm
like,
there with you. I'm there with you.
You're fine. I'm like, dude, am I?
Am I really? So it's impressive.
Yeah.
That type of civilization and culture can not just survive, but live.
Since the beginning of times.
Yeah. Live. They don't just survive. Like survival is not the right way.
They thrive.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yep.
So it's fucking crazy,
it's crazy,
man.
Yeah.
People like our AC went out as well, and I'm panicking. Like I'm on Amazon ordering every fucking thing I can, thinking, okay, because if I go down, like it was like the first week here is like maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That we had really hot weather. We got like the first triple digit, and like all the AC units that haven't been working in the springtime, they kick in during that time period, and half of them crap out. They say, so like I'm like, we're not going to get every replacement part, every unit is going to be gone.
Yep.
So I was on Amazon just like add to cart. Luckily, we got it fixed in a couple days, so it wasn't as bad. But
same here.
It was pain. It was Like, oh, it's just, okay. So you get, and it's like, I also tell people, like, when you step off the climate controlled aircraft into the ambient air, it's like a fucking slap in the face.
Yeah, it's
Whack!
right there. You're like, yo, I'm telling you, that's why I got off and I couldn't breathe. I was like, oh shit. I'm like,
We're all gonna die.
water. I was like, where's the medic?
Yes.
Like, fuck.
Hey, you just got here.
Yeah.
I know, but still.
I need a medic. IV me, please.
Oh God! So you're acclimating, and what's funny is I don't think people appreciate the importance behind acclimation.
No, dude, and you got to do a workup while you're there to get ready to go to fucking Iraq. We had one guy go down on a heat stroke.
Oof.
Had to give the air medevac.
Dude, it's
and then
like no joke.
No, dude, I'm telling you, like we're doing this workup, and then one of the scenarios in the workup, they put us inside the fucking Bradleys in the back. And I'm in there full kit for everything. I'm carrying the 240. There's like 8 other people cramped up in there. It's 130. And I was like, fuck. And like I started looking at a spot and everything just got red. I'm like, I'm fucking going down.
Oh shit.
Like I'm going down. And I was like, and I look in my pocket. I was like, I got a water bottle. And I start chugging it. Dude, didn't help at all.
Yeah.
But and then we get to the objective and they drop the ramp. And dude, I remember just kind of like, I'm going down. And then I came back because the air hit me.
Yeah.
Even though it was hot,
It was,
that cool air,
dude.
like hit
I
me.
can't even imagine being stuck in that oven. That Bradley is an oven.
It's exactly what it is.
It's a fucking oven.
And dude, we got out and I was like, oh, cool. And so I was like, fuck, I'm going to pass out. And I'm like, don't be that dude. Don't be that dude. Don't be that dude.
That's
And I'm like, all right, cool. So I started kind of doing like the chicken dance, like, or the just fucking,
2 steps left.
Yeah,
2
like,
steps
oh
right.
shit. And somebody's like, you okay? I was like, I'm just good. And I'm like, oh shit, you good? I was like, yeah. I couldn't even fucking talk. And then I look up to my right and I just see the guy in another Bradley just go, punk. And then they're like, oh shit. The medics come out of everywhere and they're like, I just see the dude's pants getting pulled up and they stick that fucking thermometer in his ass. I was like, I'm good. I'm good. Like, I am fucking alive and thriving. Like, yep. And we ended up finding some shade and we were all in the shade. Like,
It's amazing too the difference that the shade does.
oh God, dude. We're all sitting under this shade and you just see the bird come in and they fucking load him up and he leaves. It's shit. And I was like, fuck. Like, I was like, I did not want to be that dude. I was like, nope. But it was brutal. And then, you know, like a couple of days later, we flew into Iraq, and dude, it was different. Like, Iraq wasn't even that fucking hot like Kuwait was.
Where were you in Iraq though? When you first got there?
So we were in.
Like how close to the Euphrates were you?
We were closer to the Tigris River.
Okay, the Tigris.
Yeah.
Either one of them. It's a different environment there.
Yeah.
Totally different.
It was cooler, and I was like,
It's weird.
oh shit. I was like, this is not that hot.
It's almost paradise.
Yeah, no kidding. But it was way, way better. I was like, holy, because it would get cold at night. And then
I don't understand how they manage without AC.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of like massive temperature drop fluctuation that
Dude,
does
and
it.
it's not even that much. It goes from 100 to 70, and it's freezing.
You're
like,
fucking cold.
Like, what the fuck? Yeah, I remember wearing like jackets and shit outside. I was like,
Where's my whoopee?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. Like,
Poncho liners, like
Yeah.
I was like, who brings a poncho liner to the desert?
that's what I said. When we got our packing list, you know, I'm like, why the fuck do I need a poncho? Why do I need my jacket? Why do I need this fucking hoodie and zip
Oh,
up and
God.
shit? I'm like, we're gonna be in the
desert.
You know, so like I always complain and they're like, just shut up and bring it. But I was like, it makes no sense. It's like an extra.
Explain to me. Explain to me.
It's a
Explain
couple
to me.
extra pounds. You know, like, and dude, we're kind of circling back to that when we did our workup in Germany, it was still snowing. So we're doing a workup in the fucking snow, and our commander comes in and he's just like, guys, you guys did a great job and performed well. We're gonna go out there and kick ass and la la la. And I was always the dude that made people laugh and like just ask questions because that's just kind of how I was raised. Like always ask. So I raised my hand. And
Oh
the
boy.
commander's
Oh
like,
boy.
yeah, I was like, sir. And I always been a smart ass, bro.
What?
Yeah. And so I was like, sir.
surprised.
And he goes, yeah. And I was like, I just want to know how much sense does this make? And he goes, what? He's like, we're training in the snow, but we're going to the desert. And then he looked at me like, shut the fuck up. And like, bro, next thing I know, I had like the first sergeant
major.
here.
Yeah.
And then my other fucking, and then like the captain on this side. And they're like, come here, let us talk to you real quick. Oh. And I was like, fuck. Dude, I was outside in the snow doing push-ups for hours, bro. Oh. And I've always been a cocky motherfucker, so like, they were smoking me, and they're like, are you done? And then I was like, you can't smoke a rock. And I just kept fucking going. And like, bro, when I was done, I couldn't feel my arm. Like, I went to go piss, and I was doing this like, fucking Ace Ventura shit, like, ha. Like, but I didn't fucking let them break me.
Oh, my
so
God.
I was like, you ain't gonna fucking smoke me. But anyway, so going back to that, yeah, I was like, why the fuck am I packing this thing? Like, I'm not gonna need it. And my squad leader was like, just fucking pack it, dude. Like, just bring it.
Yeah.
And I remember the first night, it dropped down to like 70 something, and I walked outside. I was like, fuck. So I went back inside, put on my hoodie, and he comes back out. He goes, what were you asking me the other day? I was like,
shut up.
I was like, fuck off.
Shut up. I don't like you anymore.
Whatever, dude. And so, but yeah, it gets fucking cold. Like, I didn't realize
it's crazy. It's weird. I think that's, one of the other things that is little known about that region.
Yeah.
In particular, like right around the Tigris-Euphrates region. So. So you get acclimated in Iraq.
Yeah.
Now you're ready.
Yeah. And so now we're ready. We get situated. We ended up in a small town called Aramia. No, it was the last town that Saddam Hussein had been seen before he went into hiding.
Oh, gotcha.
And it was a palace where his sons made a final stand. And
okay. Yeah. Totally remember that place.
So
that got nuked.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So we were staying in a house where one of his wives lived. And then the palace was on this side here. And then the Tigris River was right behind it. So we were in that house, and since we were like 3 platoons in one building.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah. Fuck. It was crazy. I was like, fuck, man. You walk in there, and you're like, smells like butthole and feet and shit. You're like, what the fuck?
It's all hot, sweaty. Oh, yeah.
Dude, yeah. And then little by little, like every other week, we would go into town and fucking buy ACs and have them installed and all that stuff. Like, we started making it home, but we got there and we fastly became the guys. We were going after bolos HVTs and high value targets, for those of you guys who don't know. So we were kind of sneaking in at night, grabbing people, and then during the day we were patrolling as well. So
nice.
It was a very, very fast paced type deal thing. Like we caught a bunch of HVTs.
That's high value target for our listeners.
Yeah, took out a bunch of HVTs as well, and it just kind of there wasn't a night that something didn't happen.
It's crazy, man. Fast paced. It's nonstop. But that's what you live for.
Yeah,
that's what you signed up for,
without a doubt. And then the cool thing about it was right next to us there was an SF group.
Oh, right on.
So we attached to them sometimes and give them support. So like once I did that and I was like, fuck, I'm good. I made real friends with their medic, and I started telling him like, yo, I got this contract. He's like, dude, I'll help you out. Like, let me know. Like, cool. I'll give you a letter, like all these things. Like, I'll work you up. Blah blah blah. And I was like, fuck yeah. So I started talking to him, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it was cool of him to do. And then we were there for about 10 months, and then I remember we're like, oh fuck, we're getting ready to do our left seat, right seat with the new unit that's going to come in so that we can slowly back out, let them take care of the area. And then we go back home. And then we got extended to 15 months. You remember that? Dude. Yeah. So
15 fucking months.
Yeah. So
just so that everybody knows, like on the Army side, like an average deployment is about 12.
12. Yeah.
Yeah. 12.
Yeah. For a regular infantry unit. Yeah.
3 extra months doesn't seem like a lot.
It's a lot.
It's an eternity.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we got worried. We're like, we're getting extended, and we're like, fuck. And they're like, we're gonna get paid double. We're like, yeah.
Oh, really? Whoa. Okay, problem solved.
Yeah. So, and then May came around, and that's when I got wounded. But we were already had supposed to be back at home when I got wounded. But anyway, so got hit with an IED. Ended up killing one instantly. 4 of us got severely wounded. Ended up at Brooke Army Medical Center. Started our recovery and stuff. And then, dude, like one of the craziest fucking thing was I get to Brooke Army Medical Center, and we all have our emails for the military and shit, where you get orders and when you get promoted and all that stuff. And I remember I told my dad, I was like, once I was able to get out of the room and stuff, like 3-4 months later, I go check my email, I go to my AKO, and I'm like, and I'm looking through it, and I see a priority email, and I'm like, oh shit. So I open it, I had orders to go to Fort Bragg.
No.
To go fucking do
Your
the
SF?
assessment.
The SF assessment.
So I was like, oh shit. And I'm looking at the orders, then I'm like, I just start crying. My dad's like, what's wrong? I was like, these motherfuckers sent me orders to go
Don't
to
they
Fort
know?
Bragg. Like, bastards. And my dad's like, my dad was former military. My dad's reading them. He's like, what the fuck?
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh. So I had to call and tell them I'm not coming. And
I'm not AWOL, by the way, because I'm fucked up in a hospital.
so that I could open up that spot to give it to someone else.
Right.
And so the NCO I see is on the phone, and I'm like, dude, I can't make it. And he goes, what do you mean you can't make it? Like, man the fuck up, show up. And I'm like,
What?
listen, look at my fucking record before you start talking shit. And then he's like, I don't need to look at it. You're fucking quitting on us. And I'm like, I'm in a fucking hospital in a wheelchair, burnt 75% of my body, about to have my leg cut the fuck off. Did I quit on you? And he goes, oh. I said, open my fucking file. And then he opens, he goes, hey, roger that, Sergeant. We're gonna give
We'll open this up. Thank you for the call.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
was like, fuck you. Hung up. And I was like, you motherfucker.
So, I know that's probably not a high, that's a difficult time in your life. But one of the things that I read about that incident was how you, even after the ID, you moved back up into the turret and laid down massive amounts of suppressive fire to allow the rest of your team to escape.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, well, I know enough. I know how to read between the lines. I know how to read that, and I want to say that to me, again, just personifies the person that you are, the person that I've heard you talk about so far in this podcast. That to me, kind of like, is a defining moment. I think that you gloss over. I can understand why you don't make it a big deal, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to teamwork, man.
Exactly.
Like, it comes back to teamwork. Like it wasn't even like it wasn't even a first instinct thing to be like, oh man, I got to do this to like get an award or get this or get that. It was like, if I don't get up on that gun,
Exactly.
and get suppressed, we're all gonna die, and I'm gonna let my team down. So it was that. It wasn't
Totally.
It was nothing else. It was just.
But but my point that I was trying to make is that while that is exactly what it was,
Yeah.
that's what you had created for yourself as your career path. Like, this is it. I am doing this. I'm going to not be that person that does not complete the mission, or does not allow my team to complete the mission, or does not save my team from completing the mission.
For sure.
So that's the thing. That's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
God, I just glossed over that. Fucker. Anyhow, and I'm sure that's been brought up plenty of times. But this also starts a period of your life that I also have incredible admiration for, because your positivity. And I remember when I first met you too, it hasn't changed. Hasn't fucking changed at all. You're the same asshole that you were when I first met
Pretty
you.
much.
But that type of positivity.
Consistency is key, man.
It is true. That positivity that you have brought to the world and you've shared through, and I think, there's a lot to be said about that. And I think the real important part to take away from all that is what sort of opportunities it has given you by doing that. Like, you have been able to reach, as a social media influencer.
Oh, God.
You've been able to reach people and impact their lives. Like, you have connected with other burn unit victims that have struggled, and you have been able to provide them just that little bit, just enough to help them get through that. And dude, that's huge.
Thanks.
How has that impacted you though? Like, has that?
Oh, dude.
I mean, I know that probably wasn't your plan to do.
No, not at all. So I linked up with another fucking SEAL. Ugh. I know way too many of you guys are like, fuck. Ryan Parrott. I don't know if you know Ryan. Ryan was over at Team 7 for a while.
Okay.
I don't know. I think he might have been one of his instructors at one point. I can't remember.
Okay.
But anyways, Ryan got blown up in Iraq and got burned. Not as bad as we did, but he had some burns. And then when he came home and got out, he's like, what do you guys do? Like, what can they do for you?
Yeah.
And you're like, this is as good as it gets. And he's like, fuck. So he started a nonprofit called Sons of the Flag.
Yes.
So Sons of the Flag takes care of not only service members, first responders, but civilians who've had a burn, you know. And there's not a lot of doctors in the country that they specialize in burns.
Interesting.
They specialize in other things.
Yeah, of
so
course.
Ryan started this nonprofit, and what we do is we approach a doctor that's getting ready to pick the specialty and be like, hey, Jeff, how would you like for us to pay for your school? But you got to be a burn specialty doctor.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a lot of the guys either say yes or no. And so we're creating more burn doctors in the country to have. So that's one of the goals in the nonprofit is we fund a lot of things. We do a lot of extensive research in burns. I had my leg amputated about 5 years ago.
I remember that.
In August.
Yeah.
November, I was walking on a prosthetic.
Yeah. I remember that
Like,
too.
it was fast.
Yeah.
The technology, the research, the surgeries, everything with prosthetics has increased from before war to now. We're like, you know, I've hiked mountains in fucking Alaska. I've been all over the world hunting. I've done all these crazy things because I have the technology and the prosthetics. What we lack in burns, we're still doing procedures that were done in Vietnam.
What?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
No. So that's our goal, is to raise awareness,
Wow, I did
to
not
do
know
more
that.
research, to like.
You just naturally assume that every other
No.
specialty is also
Not at all, man. It's
Dude.
crazy. It's fucking crazy. So that's what we do. And then one of the programs is that Ryan started is we interact with a lot of kids that have been burned. Now, I lived a fabulous life up to when I was 21. Like I was a football athlete. I was popular in school. Like, you know, dated all the pretty girls, did all this crazy stuff, like had a blast, joined the military, like had a really great life. And then I was wounded. So I was able to cope with it. It wasn't easy, but I learned to live with it. I learned to be like, okay, this is my life. Like, and I can, this is nothing. I got it.
Yeah.
But to a child that's been burned as a kid, and let's not, you know, beat around the bush. Kids are fucking assholes, and they're going to pick on each other, and they're going to bully kids.
I agree.
And so he gave me the opportunity to be a mentor to some of these kids and walk them through and be like, look, I look just like you, but this is what I've done. I'm a you know, world record holder in powerlifting. I've done this, like I've gone hunting here, like I've been on this TV show, I've been in this movie, I've done all these crazy things because of me being burned now, and I'm just like you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and if you're gonna open up to somebody, here I am. So if you get picked on school and you can't come tell your dad because your dad's going to go there and beat the shit out of this kid, get arrested and go to jail, call me. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Let me help you, and we'll get through this. So
that was awesome.
I got linked up through all that because of Ryan and Sons of the Flag.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, give him 100% the credit, because without him, you know, I wouldn't be able to connect with all these people. And I just opened it up to my platform, and dude, it just took off. It's a crazy thing, because like, when you and I met, I didn't really have that many followers. And then like I just started being me.
That's it.
And it's just like, and then it opened up. And so like I share my passions, right? Like going to the range and shooting and like being more proficient. And it takes a little bit longer with me with a pistol because of my hands, but I make it work.
Yeah.
And I do all these things. And like, so it just became me, or what I do. Hunting's another thing.
Yeah.
Motivational speaking is another thing that I do as for work. And so like all these things people were resonating with, you know, and it was just like-minded people that started following me and liked it. And then, you know, we started like making funny videos and shit like that, and, you know, working and doing marketing for a bunch of companies and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's giving me and provided me like a lifestyle that I can't complain, that I really, really love. And it's just because of that, of all those steps that we took, you know, refuse to be a fucking victim. Because, you know, when I was in the hospital, you think I look bad. I seen guys that you're like, what the fuck is that? It looked like somebody grabbed some clay and fucking made a human. And you're like,
crazy, man.
you know, and then you look at those guys and they were laughing and making jokes in therapy rooms and shit. And then like, I'm like,
okay,
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. So like, it was either sink or swim. And like I told you earlier, like I've always been that guy that makes people laugh. And I've always been like kind of the life of the party. So I was like, look, this is what I need to do now. And I want to be a voice, and I want to represent my community and my unit and my guys and those that are no longer here. Like, I want to be able to make a post and reach millions of people. And if out of those millions of people, one person remembers fucking Harkey's name that was there on the truck with me the day that he died, like, to me, that's worth it because one more person is going to keep his name alive and go from there. So there was more incentive of being successful and happy and pushing forward and killing that stigma that people have of veterans of the fucking PTSD and this shit that we all go through it apparently, and like that, you know, we're a crutch to society and stuff. I wanted to turn that fucking thing upside down and be like, no, we're not like that. Yeah. We're successful business owners. We're this, we're that. But yes, we do have this little thing that we experience.
But that's not who I am.
But that doesn't define me.
Exactly.
So like, I feel like it was all that. And like, that's always what I've always wanted to do is prove people wrong. We're not like that. Mm-hmm. It's a part of our lives. But for the most part, were we able to handle it? We fucking keep it under control. And we want to use our platforms. We want to use the experiences that we've been through to share with others and motivate others and help them get past through whatever mindset that they have that they can't get over. Yeah. Show you that anything's possible. And as cliche as that sounds, like it's fucking true. Like the minute that you put yourself in a situation and you want to get it accomplished, you're going to accomplish it.
Dude, I cannot agree with you more in so many of those statements. Like one of the things that I think one of the things that I've learned over the years is that the difference between somebody that is accomplished and somebody that's not accomplished, there can be a lot of different reasons, a lot. But sometimes it really just boils down to the belief that they can do it. Yeah. And if you have that belief, the belief allows you to then connect to the means and how you're going to do it. Yeah. And that's the hard part. Like, I think once you can believe in it and truly believe in your heart, this is something I can do, then the problem solving of the how becomes a little bit easier.
Yeah, and the problem with that is, man, like a lot of people hate to fail. Yeah. And then once they do, they give up. And it's just like, bro, you know how many times I failed and I've hit my fucking face in the ground? I lost count. Yeah. But I've succeeded a few times. Yeah. And that makes it all worth it. And I feel like we got to understand that failure is part of success. No matter how fucking much you hate it, like how I don't think anybody ever strives to fail, but we do. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like I've heard people on podcasts scream like, you know who has a plan B? Failures. Because and like, dude, fuck off. Because I'm on plan fucking F and I'm making it work right now. So like, you can't tell me that winners only have one fucking plan and they get it done. Yeah. Because it's not true, dude. You're gonna fail so many fucking times, and you might be on plan Z right now, and then that fucking it goes, and you make it.
And there,
you know what I mean? Like not everything you do is successful. Not everything is gonna be on the first try. Now, is there people out there that happens? Yes,
of course
there is,
but they're the anomalies.
Exactly. But be prepared to fail. Be prepared to fucking be told no. Be prepared to be pushed away, and I hope that just encourages you to do more things and push forward. Like. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've been pushed away from different events and different people and stuff because I don't fit their brand or I'm not what they're looking for. And it opens doors for something else that is a lot bigger than I am. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm in a room with all these people that I never thought I would be in. And it's because those other people told me no.
Yeah, like, dude, it's crazy how that works. Yeah. And you know, I think you're right about failure and the negative stigma that it has. And I understand it from a certain point of view. But I think what happens, like I was afraid to fail because I associated that failure with letting my team down. Yeah, but what it did was it prevented me from actually reaching my true potential. Yeah. It just kind of like I was like
it kept you in a box.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it took some time for me to finally become okay with failing. And then once I kind of figured that out, and I was still a young adult. I wasn't mature. Yeah. But like once I figured that out, failure and me became kind of like close. Like I would push, and because I had to figure out how far I could push before I reached that failure point.
Failure goes hand in hand with fucking success, man.
Oh, dude, sometimes you can't tell the two apart. Yeah. Sometimes you can't. So you have had an incredibly rewarding, in my opinion, experience with your social media. Yeah. Because you have been able to reach out to people. And I think that is like if I don't like social media, but I see you being successful in it, and it gives me hope that social media can do good things.
Yeah, of course. You know, there is a lot of negative with it. There is a lot of things that you're like, shit.
Not this again.
Yeah. But with it, like I tend to block that shit out. I tend to like.
Good for you.
There's always negative comments. There's always going to be those.
Of course.
But if there's one thing that I've learned from a friend, is just like, he says it on his podcast all the time. He's like, I put a post up and I don't read the comments. I let it be.
I think I actually, we had a conversation similar to that earlier today, me and another gentleman here. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Dude, I posted and I just let it be. I don't.
Fire and forget.
Yeah.
Fire and forget.
Pretty much. But it's hard because sometimes I'm like,
I want to get in there.
Yeah,
Shut
and
up,
I do
you
sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes I do. But I do it because like there's people that are reaching out when it comes to social media, right? Like, there's one of the things that I always tell people before, like, asking for help is not a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
Asking for help is a sign of strength, because it took you
Courage.
strength and courage to ask for help.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It's not the easiest thing to do.
Especially for guys like us.
Yeah, and I admit it. Like, I'm not the first one to be like, "Hey, Jeff, I need help," but it took courage to say, like, "Hey, I'm struggling with this. Like, what do I do?"
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like, and I've put that out there a lot of times. I'm like, if you're going through something, it's not being weak. It's actually your courage and strength to ask for help. So reach out to somebody. And I can't tell you, man. I have this thing that my wife made me do, that every time I get a DM when somebody's like, "Hey, I talked to you about 2 years ago. You gave me this advice, la, la, la. I'm here today. I'm thriving. I'm having success. Like, I was going to take my life." And I print that. And I don't show it to anybody, but I put it in a folder. So, like, when I'm feeling down or I'm feeling, like, attacked on social media, or, like, I just don't want to fucking do it, she goes, "Here, read
Open this up."
And then, like, after reading 2 or 3, I'm like, fuck that. Fuck these people. Like, let's keep going forward. Like,
I love that.
Let's keep pushing. And
That is a brilliant idea.
Yeah, so it was all her. I'm not gonna take credit for it,
No.
but like, man, it's helped out a lot, dude. Like, there was a guy who follows me, who's a priest, and I had no idea. Like, yeah, and he was in somewhere in Asia somewhere. I can't remember where. But him and his wife were walking on this pier or on this rocks on a Yeti or whatever, and the water came over him, took him into the sea.
Oh shit!
His wife drowned and died, and he was about to die. And in his letter, he's like, "I've never been someone to say a bad word." He's like, "But I don't know why your motto kept playing in my head," and it was like, "Crispy the fuck on, crispy the fuck on." And he's like, "And I made it back and survived." He goes, "I don't know why." He's like, "But you were with me that day, and God put you in my path," and la la la. And I'm just like,
what do you say to that?
like, yeah, like, you just lost your wife, bro, and like, you're writing this to me, like, fuck. Like, so it touched me and it moved me, and like, that's where it started. My wife's like, "Print that."
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
dude.
So printed it, put it, and it's the first page on my binder, and then it's just countless after that. And like, man, like, I just open the book up in the middle and I read it and I'd be like, okay,
I'm back.
Yeah, like,
Dude, that's brilliant, first of all, but it's also beautiful in some cases. You know, people that
man,
actually.
there's been some stories, bro, that I'm just like, I'm just a fucking guy on social media. Like, nothing special, nothing different than you and I. Like, I just super blessed sometimes that I'm able to touch people without even really noticing that I am. So,
Well, I think so too. And speaking of blessed, you've been blessed in some cases with being able to find your soulmate.
yeah.
And that was a great story that
Yep.
we told off camera. So I want to get back to it because it talked about the fortuitousness of your, how all your planets are orbiting and coming into contact.
Yep.
So you're a terrible writer.
Pretty much. Horrible. If you ever see my post and it looks so professional, it's because my wife edited it and then we posted it. Because punctuations, I'm just your dumb grunt. I don't do that shit.
But it all started when you started writing for another company.
Yeah. So I was in Austin. I had a startup company with a good friend of mine, Shane Stevens. We were starting this government contracting company. Who did very well. We sold, and anyways. But at the time, I had met a gentleman who owned a website, and we were talking about whatever topic it was going on the news at the time, and he asked what my opinion was. So I told him, and he's like, "Man, that's really good. Like, you should put it in writing. I own a website where you can put it out." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I wrote it, sent it to him. They posted it, and it just fucking went viral.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh shit." So then he asked me, like, can you keep writing? And I'm like, sure. And then that was going very well. And at the same time, our business just fucking whack. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't have time to write. I got to do this. So I called him. I was like, look, man, I apologize. Like, I don't have the time. Like, I don't have the time to write. And I can't do it. And he goes, well, let's work something out. Like, you're doing really good. You're drawing, you know, a lot of views and stuff. And I was like, well, what can we do? He goes, can you do voice to text? And I'm like, sure. So I'm doing these voice to text, no punctuation, no nothing. It's just continuous. Yeah.
Rambling.
Oh, yeah. And I would send it to him, and he's like, cool. And then next thing I know, like a day later or whatever, I see the article online, and it's like so fucking well written, well spoken. I'm like,
wow.
I am not that fucking smart. Like, shit. And one day I happened to be around his neighborhood. I was doing some errands, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm at a cigar shop down here in Lakeway. And I'm like, dude, I'm literally right by. He's like, come have a cigar. Let's have some lunch and let's talk. I'm like, cool. So I stopped by, and he's like, dude, you know, we get to talking. And I was like, how the article is doing? He goes, dude, you're killing it. Like, they're going mega viral. And I was like, sweet. And he goes, yeah, Kristen's doing a good job editing. I'm like, who's Kristen? And he goes, the girl editing. He's like, my editor, my main editor. Yeah. She does everything. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, hold on. So he opens up his laptop, goes to Facebook, and shows me a picture. And it was her on a paddleboard here in Austin.
Right on.
And like, you just see her back. And I was like, damn, she's cute. And he showed him a bunch of other pictures. And I was like, she's cute. And so I left it at that. So then he told her that I said that she was cute, and I'm like, this motherfucker. And I had just gotten out of like a really bad relationship, like like a month or so before. So I was like, hell no, I'm just gonna go out here and like,
I'm living life.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna meet all these girls, like, you know, whatever. And I don't know what. I was at home laying in bed, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it. So I looked up her Facebook, and I sent her a message. I was like, hey, thanks for making me look smart and sound smart. If you're ever in Austin, let me know. I'd love to take you out to dinner.
Nice.
And then she replied. And then after that, like every day, like I was like thinking of this girl. So like I sent her a message and be like, how was your day? You know, at the end of the day. And she'd be like, it was good, la, la, la. So we talked online for about a month. Yeah. And then like she pretty much was like, are you ever going to ask for my number? And I was like, yeah. I was like, can I get your number? So got a number. We started talking. Things started getting a little serious over the phone. We were FaceTime all the time. Yeah. Little did I know that she had already had plans to move out of Miami.
Oh, wow.
And to live in Austin.
Yeah.
And at that time, Tim Kennedy and a couple other guys like Jay Fain and I, we had put an event together for this nonprofit called Some Assembly Required.
Yeah.
And we were down at the quarry shooting. Yep. We were putting a shooting event. So we were teaching all these wounded guys and gals how to shoot with their disabilities. And she had moved to Austin the day before. So she was moving all her stuff into her apartment with her dad. And the next day, she came to the event. We hung out. And, dude, we hung out that day. And we've been hanging out ever since.
Oh, I love it,
so,
man.
Yeah, we dated for about 5 years. Or 4.5, 5. And then I asked her to marry me, and then we got married last year in November.
Yeah.
So we're going on 2 years this November, and dude, that was that. Like, it was just like God put her in my path at the right time, because like God knows what I would have done, man, if I wouldn't have had her. Like, I think I would have gone down a spiral road of just like, you know, boozing and women and all this stuff, and just gone wild and shit. And like, it was at the perfect time, at the perfect place, and like, couldn't ask for such a sweeter woman, man. Like, keeps me on track. Like, and not to mention, she's fucking gorgeous. I don't know how I landed that. But, like, I'm just like, shit. But, you know, you got to count your blessings.
Yeah, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yep.
That's too funny. You know, like, Jamie and I had not the similar circumstances, but I remember we had a mutual friend somehow. And this is back in when Facebook did something weird. Like, you would see friends of your mutual friends.
Yeah.
Okay. And she had this one post or profile picture of this little girl on a swing that's attached to a tree swinging in this beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
And she's like way in the high arc of the swing. And I look at that and I'm like, oh my God, I love that picture.
Yeah.
And so I clicked on it. Who's this person? And, you know, then I was like, hey, I kind of like this person. And so I did the same thing. I kind of DM'd her and just kind of out of the blue. And we started talking. It was the same thing. We started talking, and the talking led to, or DMing led to talking. And
She lives on the East Coast, and so it took a while for everything to kind of solidify. So I can definitely feel your pain on the long distance stuff. That was definitely kind of a challenge.
Yep.
But it was so worth it. And like
100%.
she's like the best thing that's happened to me other than the kiddos.
100%.
All right, let's start to wrap things up. I've got to ask this question. This is the question that I like to ask. What is the biggest takeaway that you want the listeners to learn or appreciate or just be aware of?
Oh shit. Be comfortable with failure.
Okay, I'm down with that.
Be comfortable with failure. Know that there's nothing you can do about it. It's gonna happen. Just own it. Push it aside. Use it as a learning experience, and then just keep moving forward.
I love it. And we had another guest who kind of said something in the same vein, but he said instead of looking at it as failure, just look at it as a tried attempt.
Yeah.
I tried, didn't work. I'm trying, didn't work. I'm trying, didn't work. And I like that too, because if some people have, like, I don't have now I'm past the point where failure is negative to me, but some people do.
Yeah.
So, if that helps to reach some people that maybe it changes their perspective, great. Yeah. Well, let's talk about where can people learn more about you? Where can I send them? Where can we direct them to learn more
Tinder?
about you? Tinder, right? Okay. Christine, we might have to have a talk here real quick. Okay, so all kidding aside, where can people learn about you and the charities or nonprofits that you support?
Yeah, so sonsoftheflag.org.
That
It's one. If you guys want to donate and help us, keep doing what we're doing, that'd be great. And all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. It's all under Crispy11B.
I love that too. That makes it easy.
Yeah, you find me on that. Yeah, we're do it. Yeah, so any social medias, just type that in and you'll find me.
That's easy. Damn you, bastard. All right, folks, that's a wrap. I want to thank you, Omar, for coming on. I want to thank you for sharing your lessons, your life lessons, your failures. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank you for their support. I want to thank everybody that's holding the line right now. Until then, I'm Jeff Gonzalez. You're listening to the Bulletproof Workshop podcast. Take care. Stay safe. Adios.